This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Achtung Millwall. Broadcasting from beautiful South Bermondsey, it's the #1 Millwall podcast. Accept no substitute.
Good morning, dear listeners. Welcome to our regular Monday Morning with Merv show. We're speaking ahead of a potentially momentous week for Millwall Football Club. Joining me to chew over the various permutations and the aftermath of that routine win in the end over QPR is the man himself. It's Merv Payne. Merv, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, Nick. Yeah, I'm a bit frazzled. Like I'm sure a lot of our supporters are. They've probably got headaches from working out all the various ins and outs.
Yeah.
But what I keep telling myself to try and keep myself sane is none of it matters if we don't win tomorrow night at Stoke. That's the bottom line. Yeah,
that is the bottom line. We're speaking, obviously, as an article actually on this very subject on the BBC's website. I was just looking at it before I was speaking to Merv listeners. 10 days to decide second place in the Championship is the headline. Then it goes into the various, players in the drama to finish in the automatic spot. Obviously, the advantage still lies with Ipswich after yesterday's 2-2 draw with Middlesbrough. It wasn't a bad result from a Mill perspective, though, Merv. But they do have a decisive goal difference, which might well be something that comes back to haunt us at the end of the season. But there are so many splits and twists and turns that even with just 3 games to go now, you slightly go round in circles on it. I think, as you say, tomorrow night at Stoke City, Friday night at Leicester, but we've got to begin it with a win tomorrow. If we don't get a win, we are, shall we say, settling for playoff football. Dare we even speak in those terms?
I think given the nutty reputation of the Championship, to say Middlesbrough are out of the top 2 contention isn't entirely accurate, but I think you've got to be sensible and say they are. I think Middlesbrough fans have been saying they're out of top 2 contention for a few weeks now, and I thought they looked very lacking in confidence yesterday, but they looked quite good actually up front, and Ipswich looked quite dodgy at the back, and I don't think I've ever cheered on another team as much as I did yesterday. As I mentioned, my wife's face when Middlesbrough scored the second goal, and I jumped around the room. She looked at me and said, "Remind me, who do you support again?" I said, "Look, you don't, She got the gist. But yeah,
I was going to say, are you getting too old for all this kind of thing, Merv?
Yeah. But I think there's so many different ways of interpreting this. But yes, Ipswich have been for a long time now in the driving seat, holding all the cards, as Donald Trump might say.
Yeah.
They've even maybe we should debate this later on, but there's the controversy about the refs seem to be in their favour as well. I'm not entirely sure I'd go along with that. I did put my little tinfoil hat on for a few minutes after that penalty was given and thought, I'm starting to believe this now. But no, and I think I keep thinking so many different ways around it. I mean, yes, Ipswich, they always say it's so much better to have your fate in your own hands. Then I think, well, is it? Because is that not more pressure? I mean, you only got to look at Arsenal in the Premier League.
You've gone to pieces, yeah.
Well and truly had their Premier League fate in their hands, and they've shown to have butterfingers. And I think Ipswich looked a bit rocked when Middlesbrough scored both their goals. Ipswich looked like, because there's nothing worse than having your fate in your own hands and then cocking it up, is there? I mean,
no.
So you could argue that for Millwall, it's actually the simplest of the 3 final protagonists. If in that it's not in our own hands. All we can do is win our last 3 games and hope that's enough. A bit like,
which is kind of what Alex Neil has been saying. He said it last week.
All we can do is look after ourselves. It's another old cliche. But when you look at Ipswich, you look at Ipswich, and all right. I mean, we need Ipswich to slip up twice, most notably against Southampton and against one of their other 2 away games, possibly. But they're not the best team away from home.
No, they've got to Charlton. They've got to go to Charlton.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Charlton still need a point to be guaranteed to stay up.
Yeah.
realistically going to go down.
You can't go through your life depending on Charlton results, listeners,
No, you
can
can't.
you? You know.
They won't want to lose that. They won't want to lay down for that. And neither. I mean, West Brom may well be safe by Saturday, which wouldn't be great. But they're not mugs either. And of course, you've got the Southampton game next Tuesday. So yeah, I mean, they've got 3 away games on the spin now. But it's going to be a test of their nerves. And Southampton, of course, have got an FA Cup semi-final with
to throw into
Manchester
the mix.
City at Wembley.
Yeah, which they won't want to be embarrassed at. So
well, no, they won't want to lose that 6-0.
No.
And if they get a sniff of winning it, they're going to
give it everything, aren't they?
Come from that, yeah. So, if we want to be positive, but all we can do is just keep winning. That's all we can do. All we can do is keep winning, get to 85 points hopefully by winning all 3 games, and hope that's enough. Because at the moment, the most Southampton can get is 84, so that would be enough in terms of the most Ipswich can get is 88.
Yeah.
But if Ipswich were to lose to Southampton and win the others, then we'd miss out on second
goal
place by
difference.
goal. It'd be an absolute,
There was a thing I read this morning. It was on X. I think it was Henry Winter. Might have maybe another journalist. I could be wrong, but it mentioned that there's a lot of analysis. He was speaking to an ex-World Cup star, an English World Cup player. And he said, look, people outside the game don't really ever factor in because there's 1,000,001 podcasts now based on analysis, Merv, of tactics.
Yeah.
And,
it's too much.
XG. There was an expected assists. But this player, he said, the thing that people outside the game don't appreciate is the role that luck plays. The bounce of the ball, and it goes back to Arsenal. You mentioned Arsenal; they hit the woodwork 2 or 3 times in that game. With the Premier League title on the line, what can you do?
There was the usual pantomime row after that game between Roy Keane and I think Gary Neville. Neville saying that Arsenal played well, and the manager will say, "Well, you did well. You just didn't win the." And they did. I think Arsenal looked better against yesterday than they did for a while. But that is why football remains the most popular sport in the world because
luck plays its part.
Anything,
ill fortune, cruel fate.
In all other sports, especially team sports, rugby or cricket, whatever, 9 times out of 10, you put a better team against a lesser team, and the better team will win. But in football, especially the Championship, literally anyone can beat anyone. I mean, at one point,
absolutely, there's a lot of stories still to play out in this remaining 3 games, 4 games for Ipswich.
I was sitting there thinking, what's the best way this could go for Millwall? And this is proper fantasy stuff, but I'm thinking if Ipswich drew the next 3 games and we won, then we go into the last game needing a point to go up, I think, which would be absolute heaven. Even then, there's still scope to cock it up, isn't there?
I find myself going on the Championship predictor site, Merv. This is a sad state of affairs for a 65-year-old man, listeners. Putting in results you want to produce a league table that you like the look of.
Yeah.
I caught myself last night saying, "What the fuck are you doing here, Nick?"
I've stopped short at this phrase I keep hearing my daughter say, manifesting. Is it what?
Okay, that's a new one.
Is it a Gen Z thing where you manifest? You basically will things to happen, and she's got a friend who manifests she's going to win the lottery and stuff like that. And I think,
that's good luck with that, friend.
I'm sitting there thinking it's got to be worth a try. I thought, should I Google manifesting promotion? I thought, no, and I stopped myself. No, look, behave yourself. Just got to win. It's we've got to keep coming back to the same thing, and the fact that there's, as of tomorrow's game against Stoke, there's 12 games left of the regular Championship season, and we are fighting for an automatic promotion, which is absolutely staggering, really. You think
we said momentous week. We've pretty much achieved playoff football. I don't buy the idea that Wrexham will win the last 3 and overturn us in third with it. And they've still got a 6-goal spread on them from the goal difference. So anyway, let's say we are in the playoffs at the moment. Based on the current table, we'll be playing Hull away first and at the Den second. So that looks. I'm touching wood here. I'm touching wood and saying that looks a winnable tie for a Wednesday.
I think so. Yeah.
Where it'd be Southampton or Middlesbrough. So anyway, that's the worst case scenario we've got on the table. Best case scenario, as you've said, Merv, is that results and lady luck and the gods of football conspire, and we still have second position in play. That's a historic season. I mean, this is the first time since the Mark McGee era that we're talking like this.
Yeah, 25 years exactly. I mean,
And before
quarter
that, it
century.
was Mick McCarthy's early 90s Millwall. So this doesn't happen very often. I think Alex Neil made the
No.
same point. So I think everyone's got to try and see what's been achieved. I mean, some really nice articles. I'm just looking at news at Den after the win on Saturday, 2-0. Routine win, I think, over a poor QPR. They look like they're away on the beach in their minds. They're just talking about Derek Mazusaka, who's star
Mhm.
of the show Saturday, Merv, but also the input that the squad as a whole have put together. I mean, Alex Neil was saying that he expects the players that aren't featuring, such as Derek and
Yeah.
I dare say the likes of Macaulay Langstaff and Barry Bannon and others,
Mm.
but they're expected to contribute to the group mentality. I think this is one of the strongest squads in that sense, if not in a playing sense. Always, the quality is you can talk about some players over others, but I think in terms of
Yeah,
mentality, this is one of the better squads of Mill history in that sense. Because
it
it
is.
has brought us to this point.
Mm.
Derek's a great example. He had to bide his time, says the article news at then, and produced a star show on Saturday. It was lovely to see it on Saturday for Derek.
Well, I think quite a few fans probably raised an eyebrow or two when they saw the starting lineup and they saw Ballo and Derek in the starting lineup. And then my thought was, based on what Alex Neil had said after the West Brom game, that certain players literally had no legs left after an hour.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a gamble putting these players in that perhaps haven't had much experience this season. Then we saw Zach Lovelace on the bench. Who's only
yeah,
ever played. I think he's played 5 first-class games of football.
yeah.
All his injuries, and you think, oh, is this? Are we now down to the bare bones? Are we now relying on players that haven't played much all season? And what turned out was it was as if we'd bought as if the transfer window had opened just for us on the Friday night and let us buy 2 really good.
We brought a bright new talent in because he
Yeah,
really
just at
turned
the
it
right
on.
time. Yeah,
You know,
because Derek and Ballo are going to have fresh legs.
yeah,
And as for all his inexperience and his injury problems, Zach Lovelace is not going to be no sort of mug. Even he's been in and around good football at Rangers, so he's good to have there if we need it. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, Eric was just stunning. If none of us were expecting him to be this good this quickly. I think we all thought, oh, he's one for the future. To come into a game like that, where we
It's a high
needed,
pressure situation. He's come
yeah, when
in,
we
and I include Turno Ballo. No fear there,
yeah,
Merv.
exactly.
No
Something to
fear at
prove,
all.
and yeah, something to prove. Fresh, they're fresh legs. That's the key thing. They're fresh,
Yeah,
and while they're coming in and doing a job, the likes of hopefully Alfie Doughty and Billy Mitchell, maybe even Will Smallbone, they can be getting fresh as well, and maybe coming in the last game or last 2, or if needed in the playoffs. And it's a massive boost because we say at this time of the season, we say, oh well, it's the result that matters, not the performance. But as we saw with the Blackburn and Norwich game, the trouble with that is if you don't put the performance in, you can come unstuck and get beat. That was a proper statement performance on Saturday. We absolutely
well, it's
we
a
just
blistering start, wasn't it?
yeah, we
Electric
had the
start.
game won in 15 minutes, and that was the sort of form we saw that blew Birmingham away. They couldn't live
Yeah,
with us, and it's
yeah,
clearly what Anfield wants the team to do all the time.
yeah.
But it just is possible because it's so intense in the
Well, he said that
Championship.
there's going to be lulls. I mean, just another
Yeah,
piece here on News at Den by Will Scott. He's speaking to Alex Neil, who mentioned that he wanted us to start fast
yeah,
and an all-round performance. The thing is, if you don't get the goals in that fast start, you're
yes,
going to get a
exactly.
lull.
Yeah,
And another
yeah,
point he made in one of the interviews he did is that he wants the fans to step in when the lull
yeah,
comes because you need to lift the team, get them back up again.
yeah,
And I thought the crowd really did a job. I mean, people keep talking about the tourists in the Den, but it was a good atmosphere on Saturday, and
yeah.
I think it really helped. I mean, it was mentioned after the game by Alex. The fact that the crowd have lifted the team when they need it, home and away this
Mm.
season. So this is when the club's at its best, Merv, when the team and
It
fans
is, yeah.
come
And the
together,
early
isn't
goal,
it?
the early goal was so important. It's massively so. Clearly, it is. For a few years now, we've agreed that we've often started games well, but if we don't get that first goal, or if teams sort of keep us quiet for the first
Yeah,
half,
yeah, yeah.
then we start and the crowd get
Get
tense, and
itchy.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
that then gets through to the players. And say even though we scored first in the last 2 home games, Norwich and Black, something still wasn't. But the crowd was still, obviously a bit antsy because the first half was because it doesn't give you any confidence. You was waiting for Norwich to score and Blackburn to score, and eventually they did. But when you start like we did against QPR, and the game's virtually won, by half time,
Yeah.
it relaxes the fans, and the manager can start being a bit more pragmatic with his subs
We
and
could
players.
ease off the
And
petrol in the second half,
it's,
can't
it's,
you? Which is what
it's
happens,
obviously, it's easier said than done, obviously,
Yeah.
and it's going to be very different away from home. But just keep. Yeah, you have to just got to be positive about it. And like you say, I think the worst case scenario is that we're in the playoffs, which we were so desperate to sneak into last season.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to look at what it is we've done better this season that we haven't done in previous seasons, and there's a couple of things that stand out. The main one being sort of winning away at a rival, just as they're sort of snapping at our heels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Bristol City are way down now, but when we played them away, they were right behind us. I think they were sixth,
We
we were
kind of
fifth.
finished them off with that result. I
Yes,
think there was a
I think
strong sense
yeah,
that you picked up from the online
yeah.
reaction that that they played beautiful football and that
Mm,
they didn't deserve all that nonsense that you
yeah,
read. But since then, they've gone into a tailspin.
yeah.
It's almost like we got under their skin, which is another great achievement
It
from
feels
your
like,
side.
yeah. So we've always that sort of kept us in and around the top six,
Yeah,
because we've always, whenever there's someone's up, Preston were creeping up, they were on the fringes. Watford were right up behind us when we played them away and we beat them. We keep sort of just batting away the competition,
we went to
and
Southampton, didn't we? We won.
we got a draw 0-0 there,
We
didn't we?
drew it down there, didn't we? Yeah,
We
but that
Bristol at
again,
home
they
and
were
they were on a
in their
four match
form.
winning run. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we've done this season. Whereas in previous seasons, in fact, we've lost those or drawn those games and lost ground. And we have this habit of going on these little, when we have a little sticky patch where we might draw a couple, lose one, we then seem to be good at going on a little winning run. I think twice this season now we've come out of a sticky patch and won
yeah,
four. We lost 4-0 home to Coventry
that's
in
right.
October, and then won 4 on the bounce. And then
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
in the new year, I think we won it. I think we got beat at Coventry, then won 4 on the bounce. And you think that's what we sort of need to do now. We've had those couple of home defeats to Norwich and Blackburn. We had a draw at Ipswich. If we finish the season with 4 wins, that's all we can do. And people, I love how we're sort of a bit off the radar. Everyone is obsessing over Southampton, aren't they? They're absolutely
Yeah, that's
obsessing
right.
over
They've become the new
um,
Ipswich
and
and
they,
Southampton are like the establishment's choice. Aren't they?
yeah,
So we don't feature in that choice,
yeah.
listeners.
Oh, definitely not. No, we're definitely not. No, they're the sort of. I mean, call me paranoid, but on 5 Live on Saturday evening, they were going down the table, and they actually said Ipswich, Millwall were second. They actually put, even though Southampton were fifth, they put them before. They mentioned them before us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Almost
Of course they do.
fair to mention Millwall before Southampton, even though Millwall were, yeah. And I thought
Anyone listening under the age of 30, this is how it always has been.
yeah.
We don't.
Oh no, Millwall. I've got to say Millwall a third. And I don't want to. Yeah. I think it's the Ipswich a second, Southampton a fourth, Millwall a third. I thought, well, you've done that the wrong way round, mate. I thought, yeah, okay, you crack on. And you watch the ITV program, and we're buried way down there again as well. In the, and they didn't show
Yeah.
half. They didn't show half the chances we had, or the obvious penalty on Coburn.
No, we don't feature in people's choices of
It's hilarious.
teams to go
It's
up.
funny when you think about it, but I'm happy for that, because I keep telling myself, surely Southampton can't just keep on carrying winning. But even if they do, there's nothing they can do about it if we keep on winning.
No, we've got to deal with our business in front of us.
Yeah. And if I'm an Ipswich fan, I'm getting a little bit nervous now, because it's looked so straightforward for them for so long, like with Arsenal in the Premier League. I'll be thinking, oh God, can you imagine, if we bottle this, can you imagine how hard the playoffs are going to be? Can you imagine, we won't live this down, and given the help they get from the referees, I mean.
Well, let's touch on the Ipswich do seem to be the team that's favoured. I mean, we just mentioned that there's a real sense, and I don't care. I don't think it's paranoia, but I don't think that we are the establishment's choice. So Ipswich do seem to be getting. Shall we call it rub of the green, Merv? Is that a good
So I'm not going to go as far as referee
conspiracy?
I think it's tactical, and was it Phil Clark? I think it was, made a really good point that the referee for the Ipswich Borough game is usually a Premier League referee.
Yeah,
and that was very Premier League penalty, where they tend to be a bit softer, or they tend to think more about intent and all that sort of. I mean, there's no doubt it was a penalty, because the Middlesbrough defender shouldn't have laid hands on him. Hurst was never getting the ball.
You've got to be consistent. I'd agree. We watched Josh Coburn, we watched Jake Cooper get rugby league tackle week in, week out.
There's a brilliant comparison between the two penalties, and Coburn was literally thrown to the floor, WWE
and nothing
style.
happens. Yeah,
The referee waits on, and then then the Middlesbrough defender basically tickles Hurst under the armpits, and down he goes, and penalty.
So we should get about 10 penalties a game based on
Well,
what I've seen this
that's
season.
mine. And this is what I think. You talk about tactics. I think winning fouls, because set pieces are so big now.
Yeah.
Winning fouls is all part of the game, and you've only got. I mean, I feel like I've watched Ipswich almost as much as Millwall the last few weeks. So obviously, we played them there. It was on Sky.
Yeah.
I watched the Norwich game, hoping that they would.
They might do us a favour. Yeah.
And then I watched that one yesterday, and I mean, their players go down easier than Bonnie Blue. It's unbelievable. I mean, when we equalised at their place. When we equalised, I had a row. I'm not a row. I just made the point. I equalised, if you remember, it was a brilliant take by Negley.
Yeah.
And I remember the Ipswich defender, but he just threw himself on the floor. And the Ipswich fans said, I think it was a foul on our defender before he crossed. No, it wasn't. I think you've clearly been told, just go down at any opportunity.
Well, so it was with Middlesbrough. Ayling, was it Ayling? I can't remember. He was rolling around the floor expecting a free kick when we got the winner. So I think it's a style. But it's consistency, Merv. Be consistent. That's always the thing. If you're not going to get certain decisions, okay, it is the rules of the game. But that's all. But the fact that some teams get them and others don't, that's where it gets. The only thing I'd say about conspiracies, listeners, is if you've ever tried to organise anything in any organisation and keep it quiet, it's really difficult to do that. So that's the only argument I ever have against any conspiracy.
If there was a conspiracy, then it'd have been very easy for the ref to disallow our equaliser at Ipswich. So for that, and I've seen there's all the talk about the Birmingham equaliser, about the ball not being over the line. Then I've seen some stills from the other angle where it clearly is. So it's very easy to create these conspiracy theories, and in the heat of the moment,
and you're in the heat of the moment.
In the heat of the moment, you think, "Oh yeah, the whole world's against us," but the reality is, it's quite often it's not. And as the old cliche goes, these things tend to even themselves out over the course of the season. But that's
as they say. Let's touch on, before I let you go, let's touch on the EFL awards show last night. Coventry's Lampard is manager of the season. A lot of people say it should have been Alex Neil. I don't think I can really argue with a championship winning medal and the Coventry story. So I get why he's won it. I do think Alex Neil was a good shout. He's done wonders with us, Merv, this season. When every show we do really is a tribute to what he's achieved, because we now have playoff football and we're still in with a shout of second place with the resources that we have to play with. So
I always find it strange how almost always the 4 divisional awards go to the managers of the teams that won the league, which makes the whole thing a bit pointless. And it makes you wonder if they should be separate awards. There should be, right, okay, you've won the league, there's your Champions Managers Award, but then let's have a separate award for, out of the other teams that are part of it, let's have a separate award to see, put it in context of what different teams have achieved. It could be a team staying up against the odds,
or you could have one for Gerhard Struber, his contributions to artistic football. Something like that, Special award for artistic football. Gerhard Struber.
It's funny, no Ipswich players in the team of the season. 2
no. Femi Aziz and Tristan Kramer, listeners. Everyone that's missed that in the team of the season.
Tristan Kramer doing his bidding for the new James Bond, as I mentioned yesterday.
He would make a good one, wouldn't he?
Just looking way too good looking for his own good. But really nice to see those two at least recognised. There's a shout for a couple of others to have been recognised as well. But 2 is pretty good going.
Absolutely. So well done, Tristan. Well done, Femi Aziz. And well done. I think Alex Neil was in the. I don't know if it's a short list anyway.
Mentioned in dispatch.
Mentioned dispatches. Let's call it that. Well done, Alex Neil. And well done, Merv. Thank you very much, mate. Monday morning with Merv Vincent.
Yeah, I'm off to see if we can do it on a Tuesday night in Stoke tomorrow night. So
the classic question, mate. Well, I was taking a punt on which one to go. I'm going to go up to Leicester on Friday night. So
that'd be more entertaining, I think, because they may well be relegated by then.
Well, that's right. They're adrift, badly adrift.
If they don't beat Hull tomorrow night, then they're down. And I was thinking back to the first time we did this particular show, and it was when we'd been beaten 3-1 at Norwich, and the Millwall supporters were singing about Gary Rowett's brand of football.
Your football is shit.
And I was thinking about that as the beginning of the end for Gary Rowett and the start of a very tough season, and you look where we are now, and it would be quite funny to think they'd be singing the same thing on Friday night, as long as we win, of course.
As long as we win,
yeah. But again, another thing to throw into the equation is if we win at Stoke tomorrow night, our last 2 games could be against teams already relegated.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'll find out.
Yeah, you don't know, but you'd like to think that, especially Leicester, from what I've heard about some of their players are doing, that it would be a good thing, and it should make.
Yeah, I mean, that's a storyline all of its own, the demise of Leicester City, but thankfully not one that concerns us unless we can get 3 points off them on Friday night.
Yeah.
Merv, thank you very much, mate. Good to talk to you. It'll be well, we've done. We were just talking about the permutations of Monday with Merv, but we'll almost certainly be talking next week, and we'll see where we stand after this huge walk. Listeners, do stay tuned. There's going to be voicemails aplenty after these messages.
Hello?
Run, we need to fight, we need to scrap, we need to bite, we need to sort of make tackles, get free kicks, get sort of corners, sustain pressure. And I felt we did that. I thought the fans responded in kind. I thought they were excellent throughout the game, and that's what we needed them to be. Do you know what I mean? When we're playing here, we need that atmosphere, and it comes first and foremost from us, but then the fans need to sort of get behind the team, and they did that brilliantly. So, yeah, all in all, really good day for us.
Well, that was, of course, the familiar voice of Alex Neil, speaking about Saturday's home win over QPR. I agree with the boss, the gaffer. It was an excellent atmosphere Saturday, I thought. A few comments online about tourists being in the den. I mean, we had tourists in Block 1, but it was a decent atmosphere. They were there for the football. They weren't there to fart about, like sometimes we've seen with these kinds of full house situations. And the only recipe in the end to deal with the tourist problem, if that's what you want to call it, even though they do spend their cash in the club shop and at the various outlets in and around the stadium, is to fill it with season ticket holders, real wall season ticket holders, listeners. I did see that we've sold 8,000 ahead of playoff football. We don't know, of course, where we're going to finish next season, and a season ticket at the prices that the club have put out, if it does indeed turn out to be Premier League football next season, looks like an incredible deal. The answer to, if you don't want tourists sat next to you, listeners, is to buy yourself a season ticket. I do appreciate that's not for everybody. And financial situations, don't allow it. The club are doing what they can with credit, but I get it, But the more season ticket holders, the more real Millwall fans we have in the den as a consequence, the better it'll be. If you see tourist fans as a problem, I don't largely. I think you get them in odd situations where they can be a pain in the backside. We've had 1 or 2 on these shows. I've spoken about them a few times. I think when I step back and look at it coolly and dispassionately, it's to the club's benefit to get as many, full houses, therefore visiting fans, as possible. We spread the word of Millwall around the world, and also they spend their cash, and that's what it all comes down to. Anyhow, big thank you to Merv. I lifted that quote from Alex Neil off the club's website, so I can't say thank you or claim it as any kind of contact. But I'm going to go now with 2 voicemails from 2 of our regular contacts. First up, we're going to have John Rankin, then we're going to have Aussie Dave straight after that.
Derek Mazzo Sacco, please take a bow. What a fantastic performance. And what a great result with the den. QPR 0, Millwall 2. Lovely. I mean, we started brightly. We got into them. And I've got to say that first half was, I think, one of the best Millwall performances I've ever seen in the first half. I mean, they just weren't in it. They didn't threaten our goal whatsoever. I don't think Patterson had anything to do, apart from maybe a couple of things, very routine things. But on to the outfield players. I mean, first of all, Derek Mazzo-Sacco, he came on against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, played really well. Since then, he's done absolutely nothing. And I was so pleased for him today that it all came together and he had a good game. After he scored that goal, which was beautifully taken from the edge of the penalty area, I believe, he went from strength to strength. And he looked assured. He made some important tackles. He got in the right places and he didn't lose the ball. Absolutely excellent. And I'm so pleased. I hope he can maintain that form. For me, he was my man of the match. Moving on to another brilliant performance. As listeners may know, my favourite player, my champion, my Camille Negley. What a goal. That's the class he's got. I mean, you know, if you look at Negley, Aziz, we've got some really, Josh Coburn, obviously, Ivanovic. We've got some very, very good attacking players. And I was pleased to see Ballo try and get involved in the game. He does seem a little bit lightweight to me sometimes. He just needs to sort of beef up a little bit, get a little, you know, maybe lower his centre of gravity somehow. I don't know, get in the gym, do something. But he just needs, you know, a little bit more ballast, a little bit more condition on him, just to ride those bumps and bars. But I thought it was a really good Millwall performance. Second half, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we seemed to start, we got sloppy after about 30 minutes gone in the first half, giving possession away. And then second half, it was, you know, we just didn't seem the same team. I don't think we could really get involved. I thought maybe you should have brought Barry Bannon on a little earlier. I think he's a great player to have on there, Barry Bannon. I've got to say, Casper Denor played well. I'm so glad he's back to match fitness. He was putting some biting tackles in and beginning to break things up in the middle of the park. So, all in all, you know, that was a good Millwall performance. When I watch the replay, the game will probably take on a different sort of interpretation for me, because I'm always obviously hypercritical of Millwall watching them live, because you sort of sweat every moment, don't you, you know. But in the cold light of day, maybe I might treat myself to watch the replay tomorrow, if I can get the time, and sort of really have a look at it. So where does it leave us then? Well, Ipswich are playing Borough tomorrow. I was thinking, if Southampton nicked a second spot, like if we get second place and go up, well, that's great, isn't it? You know, fantastic. If we don't, I think I might prefer to see Southampton pinch that second place spot. So Coventry or Southampton go up, and we're left to fight it out with teams that we know we can beat. So Borough, Ipswich, Hull, I think, you know, ourselves, maybe Wrexham. I would much rather be in a playoff situation with those sort of teams than have Southampton in amongst it, because I think they're unstoppable at the moment, Southampton. So that's my thoughts on it. We're going up to Stoke on Tuesday. Let's all get behind the lads. It's fantastic. It's great. Alex Neil, you're a good manager. And the lads are, you know, really, really trying hard, leaving it all out there on the park. And you can't say fairer than that. Come on, your lines.
Nick, Aussie Dave here after that great performance against QPR. I think it's the first 90-minute performance I've really enjoyed for a while now. We were great in the first half and really solid in the second half. And we haven't had that for a while. We've had some very poor halves, but didn't feel that happening today. So great feel-good factor after the game. Few points. First one, midfield. I think it showed yesterday, if you get that right, the overall team performance really improves. We've got a good defence. I think we've got an okay attack, but the midfield's been a bit dodgy. But Derek and Denor together really performed well, and the overall team performance zoomed up. Particularly what I thought with yesterday, they really supported the defence. The last few games, we've had opposition teams coming on to us, say, and on the edge of the area, they seem to have space and time to do something. But they had none of those chances yesterday. I mean, QPR weren't that good, I thought, but we just had the support on the back line from the midfield. Big difference to the overall team performance. Final point almost, squad depth. I said on the last game when I phoned in, and I think a few people have said our squad depth is a bit thin. But I think yesterday we saw two forgotten men, Ballo and Derek. And you think, well, if they're going to come good, and that's not too bad, particularly we got Doughty to come back, maybe Smallbone, who knows. I thought our squad depth, I was a bit happier at the end of the game thinking we have got enough to give this playoff go. And particularly, we've always said we should have got a third striker in the January window. But I thought Negley in a 10 yesterday was quite effective. And I think with Ivanovic and Coburn, and we didn't even miss Ivanovic, did we, yesterday? I think with Negley in a 10 and the other forwards, etc., I think we can cope with the demands of the next few weeks attacking-wise. a few of the players, I'm sure most people ringing will say Derek should have been a man of the match. He really added some steel, and particularly winning second balls, which we haven't done consistently for a while now. Ballo, I would suggest that's the second game in a row he's played really well. And we all said, don't sign him up at the end of the season. I wonder if we're thinking differently now. And finally, the Crambo-Aziz combo, they were rocking it again on the right. Well, 3 games to go. We've got to give the second chance a go. It's going to be a gamble because I expect we're going to play a fairly similar team in each one, and they're going to be buggered by the end, but it may be worth it. But if we don't make it, we may have a slightly buggered team for the players. But anyway, on to Stoke. Come on, you Lions.
Huge thank you there to John Rankin, followed by Aussie Dave. It's quite a season, really, isn't it? Where playoffs are the minimum, position that we're going to accept, and some are even getting a little bit fussy over whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Automatic promotion being the great prize, but when you're settling for playoff football, that's the measure of how far we've come this season. I mean, both John and Dave there mentioning all the names that I think everyone's going to mention. Derek Mazusaku, star of the show, and we didn't really miss Billy Mitchell, and I think he has been a miss in recent matches, and Derek came in as announcing himself as the new sheriff in town on that front. I think if you can keep that kind of form going, which is a big ask in the pressurised cauldron that is the Championship at the business end of the season, then he's taken a huge claim for Billy's position. Denor has been a little bit, he's finding his way back from injury. I thought he was better on Saturday, personally. And as I think Dave mentioned there, Turno Ballo, and John mentioned Turno Ballo, I thought he looked pretty good. And he's given us a threat on the left, which is something that we haven't really had much of, especially with the mystery and enigma that is Tommy Watson. He came on Saturday, didn't really see much of him. I can't see the boy sticking around once this campaign is over with, rightly or wrongly. He hasn't really shown enough for me in a Millwall shirt. But Turno Ballo at West Brom and now against QPR at home has kind of announced himself properly. His first time he's really looked a threat, and that's all to the good. The only thing I'd say, John mentioned the second half where we took our foot off the gas pedal, as they call it in America. I thought maybe we're conserving energy there, John, ahead of a stiff old week. We're recording this on Monday. We're away at Stoke tomorrow night. It's going to come thick and fast tomorrow night in Stoke, and Friday night, away at Leicester. There's a lot of football there, and I just wonder whether we're trying to, 2-0 up, in control, QPR showing nothing, whether we're just maintaining our energy stocks. I don't know. Possible. Big thank you there to John, though, and to Aussie Dave. We're going to take a short break for some advert messages and then move back after that with Hassan and Lawrence Binney. Stay tuned, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Evening, Nick. It's Hassan here. Just leaving some comments and thoughts from today's brilliant victory against QPR. Going into it, I'm not sure if you saw the club put out on their social media channels, not an interview, but it was quotes from Alex Neil, and I think it really helped with the atmosphere of today. It was much more, it didn't feel pressurised, We knew going into it, if we won again, we were going into the second. It felt quite, I don't want to say chilled, but it felt upbeat, It didn't feel like that pressure cooker that it was a couple of times recently against Norwich and against Blackburn, for example. It felt quite relaxed in a way. And the way we started that first half, it's complete opposite to the way we've been starting the last few games. In the first half, we absolutely come out traps, and I can only imagine Alex Neil probably said to the boys, listen, get at them straight away, kill the game in the first half, and we can relax a bit going into the second half, and it worked perfectly. Going to the game itself, hats off, to Derek Mazusaku, Del Boy, my man of the match. I thought he was fantastic all game, scored a brilliant goal, had a hand in the assist as well. And for such a young man, he reads the game so well, always seems to be in the right place, physically, he's fantastic. When he gets the ball, he's quite sensible with it, doesn't tend to lose it. He could go on to bigger and better things. I think he's got the attributes there, and onwards and upwards for him. I think I was pleased to see he was starting. He's come off the bench recently, and he's looked okay, and fully deserving the man of the match. Oh, do you know what I'm talking about? Man of the match. I want to go on to that. They need to take away the sponsors choosing man of the match. They drink too much. I think they must have been pissed. Kramer, as good as his game was today, he wasn't the fucking man of the match. You heard the crowd as soon as they announced it, chanting for Del Boy. Personally, I think when it comes to man of the match awards at home, they should give it to they should ask the co-commentator on Millwall TV to announce it, or to choose it, shall I say. Sky do that. It's always the co-commentator who picks it. Normally it's the next football player. I think Massimo Luongo's been the co-commentator recently, so they should let him choose the man of the matches, or even Carl Bates. But anyway, that's that. Special mention for Negley as well. Fantastic today. Scored a really good goal. Should have got a second with that chip. Everywhere as usual, and it's funny. He's so calm and composed on the ball, and that's what got him that goal today. He didn't thrash at it. Sold a dummy to the QPR defender. Slotted it to the bottom corner. I thought he was fantastic. Pretty much everyone overall put a really good shift in. I thought Sturgeon's a good game. Femi Aziz probably had his best game for quite some time. I thought Josh Coburn played well. He really kept the ball up and nearly scored, but for the goalkeeper leaving a trailing leg. I thought Cooper was immense today, as was Taylor. Right across the pitch, Denor was back to his best. I thought Ballo was good as well. He's really now justifying a starting place, full of energy, full of zip. And watch that second goal back. A lot of it's down to him because there was a bit of chaos down that touchline, and he didn't hang about. Got stuck in, quickly got back onto the ball, put it into the box, and it led to the second goal. I thought we controlled the second half. Their first shot came in the 89th minute, and you can see QPR. You can see what they're trying to do. You can see why they are so inconsistent. They do play some good football, but they've got no conviction. The typical modern day side, a bit like Bristol City. It's all pomp and no circumstance with them lot. Good result, and it leads us nicely into Tuesday night against Stoke. Annoyingly, Wrexham won today, so we haven't confirmed the playoffs mathematically yet. And fucking Southampton get a last-minute winner as well, so they're hot on our toes. But let's watch tomorrow's game against Middlesbrough, Sunday's game, if anyone's watching this later on. And onwards and upwards. All the best, mate. Bye-bye.
Right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binney calling in after Millwall 2, QPR 0. Nick, they're doing it to us again, aren't they? It's that hope again. I really wish the playing staff and the players would just make up their minds one way or the other about what we're going to do with the automatics. I mean, if we're gonna flop out and not do it, which I still is I think where my head's at. Can we just do it? Can we do it in a way that isn't? I don't know. It's so difficult emotionally. I can't concentrate on my work. My relationships are suffering. The whole thing is falling apart. God, it even got to the point that after the game I was thinking, okay, so if we do go up by the automatics, can we please get it done against Leicester so that we don't have 8 days to wait until that Oxford game, plus the 90 minutes plus to endure after that. I mean, that is slightly getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I mean, fucking hell, why not? It's 3 games, Stoke away, Leicester away, who will probably be down by then, and Oxford at home, who also might be down by that point. Eminently doable.
Eminently doable is normally a phrase used just before the wheels come off the Millwall bus, Lawrence. Your message cut off after that phrase, but I thought that's a good way to leave it. Big thank you there to Lawrence Binney and to Hassan before that. It made me laugh when you said your relationships and work is suffering as a result of Millwall's success. I think we all know that feeling, dear listeners, don't we? You find your head going around every permutation. I was saying to Merv earlier on in this show, I'm sitting on the, I think it's called worldoffootball.net, and they've got like a championship predictor. It allows you to type in imaginary results and then get an imaginary league table. And I caught myself doing it last night, thinking to myself, I'm a 60-something-year-old bloke, 65-year-old bloke now, and I'm playing like I'm a kid, trying to put together Subbuteo League results that make your team win. Got to stop doing that. But that's the effect. That's football. That is the way it is, dear listeners. I like Hassan. You mentioned the social media quotes, which is like a series of slides, I suppose you'd call them, put out on X and Instagram. I don't know where else the club puts this stuff out. I don't go on other sites, but it was a series of quotes from Alex Neil, basically saying that this is a massive achievement. We've been trying to say similar things on this show, and it's a historic achievement. I know that it's still mathematically possible for Wrexham to push us out of the playoffs, but in reality, I can't see that happening. So playoff football is something we've worked and aspired and dreamed of in the last 25 years. How many years did we spend in League One struggling to clamber back to this level? The lower half finishes we've had on occasions in League One and also in the Championship. The dream of Championship playoff football like we had back in 2001-2 and in the early 1990s with McCarthy. These are rare events in Mill history. So as much as it's tempting to dream of second position, it's not out of the question, subject to terms and conditions and other results and matters beyond our control. This is a huge, momentous, historic achievement this season, and I think it's got to be recognised as such. I also wanted to mention, I think Hassan mentioned Del Boy, the nickname Del Boy, and the chant will lift that boy's spirits. I watched a great interview between Tristan and Derek, obviously both French nationals, but doing it in English, and I think it was to encourage Del, who doesn't speak English naturally. He's learning it, and his English is a lot better than my French, Del, if you're listening to this show. So, Tristan obviously is much more fluent, and he's trying to get him to talk, and he's doing his best. And that chant, the support he's receiving from both the squad and now the fans, I think will really push the boy in the right direction. I think Hassan said from memory, he could go to levels. I think the boys showed on Saturday that was a pressure situation, wasn't easy, and I know QPR were on the beach and looked a very poor side, but you still got to go out there and do it. This is a professional second tier game in professional football, and the boy showed what he's got, and that will be terrific. And the support from the stands and from the squad will lift that boy a long way. So well done, everyone. I also agree, just incidentally, just before I move along, with Hassan's idea of taking away the man of the match from the sponsors, who are often 3 parts pissed, often don't know much about football, do they? Or maybe the girls want to go choose the good-looking boy, because, it should be something a little bit more structured than that, perhaps. Anyway, there we are. Big thank you, Hassan and Lawrence Binney. I'm going to play 2 more for you now, and that's going to be Michael Avery and Mike George.
Leaving the den, very, very enjoyable, and turned out to be pretty routine. 2-0 win at the end. QPR on the beach, they might have been, but Millwall first half were very, very good, and you could argue could have been about 4 or 5 at half time. Job done, really. It was one of those. Second half was a little bit of a damp squib in comparison to the first, but it's another job done for Millwall. I think that guarantees the playoffs now, which is good, puts us in second. So if Ipswich have an absolute mare over the next couple of games, we're in second, but this is all we can do. Southampton are the ones who are picking up a little bit of pace at the moment and getting the media attention for their run. But are they the ones to worry about in the playoffs? Well, we don't know yet. We'll have to see when we get there. But ultimately, all we can do is just keep doing what we're doing. The higher we finish in the playoffs, then the more chance of obviously that second leg away game. Really, really impressed with Millwall today. First half, thought it was excellent. And then, like I said, second half, a bit more professional, saw the game out. Barry Bannon, a lot of people asking around, why didn't he come on earlier on? Might have been a case of he's being kept fresh for the Stoke game midweek, and then obviously Leicester next Friday. But got to be an happy Millwall fan today. Got to be a happy Millwall fan. And the fact that even though we've got an outside chance now of automatic promotion, obviously with the teams and games in hand on us, etc., Ipswich look like they might have that sewn up if they get their results. At least we're going for it, you know, and that's what's good to see. Over the years, it's always been a bit of a case of not Millwall bottle it in that sense, but there's been times where big games we don't seem to show up, or certain players don't. But ultimately, I think Alex Neil has done a fantastic job with his team this season. He's really, really made us a force. And in some games, okay, yeah, there's been the odd one or two we lose. That happens in football. But games a few years back, you could see teams turn up and nicking a point here or there. QPR arguably being one of them. We've got 3 points. So come on, you Lions.
Well, here we are, Nick. We always fancied maybe getting into the playoffs, and we are now confirmed in the playoffs after a fantastic display against in-form QPR, who obviously felt that they had something about them. And let's be honest, QPR did not play badly. The thing with it is that Millwall just absolutely wiped them clean. We played so well in the first half. A goal from Mazusaka after 3 minutes astonished everyone, including the 18,000 crowd. And 5-10 minutes later, Negley pops in another one, 2-0 at half-time. We're in dreamland. We worked so hard in that first half. We completely dominated QPR. Everything they tried to do was cut off or cut down. And it was obvious that we were never going to be able to keep those levels up in the second half. However, although we weren't at the same high energy levels, we still dominated the game. I don't think I can remember more than one shot that even troubled Patterson in our goal, and everything they tried was thwarted, and we could have had chances to score and add to that 2-0 scoreline. Josh Coburn was very unlucky not to have touched the cross that went in. In the first half, it has to be said, the QPR were very unlucky not to have a player sent off, because the tackle that went in on him was wild. He was out of control and his studs were up. Still, that's just petty, all right? And for once, the referee wasn't that bad, to be honest. But what a win for Millwall. That has made a statement. That's the best performance we've seen for a few games now, and I would suggest it's one of the best performances in the season, one of the best 5 in the season. So there you go. Millwall hitting form at the right time. We're now second in the table. We may not finish there at the end of the day, but the point is the intent is there. We are now in the playoffs. I'll just let it hang there. Come on, you Lions.
Thank you, Mike and Michael, before Mike George there. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to mention the referee. I thought he let the play flow quite nicely, Mike, as well. And it's not often we can say that. And as we should, you know, we should be the first to criticise. We should also be the first to say, well done, where a referee is not bad. I think that's a good assessment. I thought we let play flow. The Coburn chance, I haven't really mentioned that much across the whole show. I thought that was destined for the back of the net somehow. I think it might have been good defending by the Queen's Park Rangers defender, but they thwarted Josh Coburn in front of goal. But overall, hard-working, routine win, as Michael Avery put it. And as Mike George put it, we dominated the side. I was just looking, whilst the two boys were talking, I was just looking at Ipswich's, schedule running ahead here. That they're West Brom, Charlton, on Wednesday night, away at Charlton. Hopefully Charlton can do something. I don't like depending on Charlton in any walk of life, in any aspect. It's not really a place you want to find yourself generally. But anyway, they're at Charlton on Wednesday night. Let's see what happens. They're away at West Bromwich Albion, who I hope will be fighting for their lives to get points. to stay in the Championship. And then the crunch game following Tuesday, they're away at Southampton. So that's a tough old schedule there. 3 big games. Charlton and West Brom should be looking for points to get themselves away from the relegation zone. I think both are looking a lot more comfortable in the league table than they might have expected a little while ago. But still, a win would be probably the pièce de résistance for both clubs. And let's hope they can do that at the expense of Ipswich Town. Fingers crossed and all that. Big thank you then to Michael and to Mike George. I'm going to play you out of the show now, listeners, with the remainder of the voicemails. It's going to be Adam Wicks, Barnsley, Bobby T, Matt Richards and Rob Woodford. I'm going to say a big thank you to everyone for their contributions on the show over the weekend. Keep them coming. We've got a huge week of football ahead of us, and who knows where we're going to be in 10 days' time, listeners. From me, Nick Hart, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now. Take it away, Bobby T.
Good evening, Nick. Oh, sorry, Nick. I'm really sorry it's late, Nick. Achtung, Bobby T. Sorry it's late. Because after the game, I shoot off to go to a show. Got stuck on a train to London Bridge with QPR, fucking quarter-pounder cunts. They let fucking QPR go first on the train. I had to go to a show, I had to go to a Persian meal. But what a win. I told you I believe in Sir Alex. It's not Sir Alex Ferguson. Alex Neil, the masterclass. Anyway, man of the match, Clamor. No, give it to the other French. Au revoir, Cantona. Del Boy. Fucking Mago Sacco. What a finish. Pogba-esque. And then he went to Alex Neil and said, thank you for not my debut, thank you for believing in me and starting. Otherwise, Aziz is getting found out, tries too much. First half, we came out of the traps, we killed them. And then we take our foot off the gas, and then we defended well. You know what, for me, like Taylor, quality, our back force quality. Ballo, a bit lightweight, magician, little wizard. But lightweight. I mean, Camel, Neshley, fucking hell, what a finish. Take the piss. Anyway, the guards are smiling. I don't know about the Premier League. I mean, of course we won it. I told you, Nick Achtung Millwall. I told you. I believe. I want that commentary feeling, tears, joy. Three massive games now. Win all 3 and Borough win tomorrow. But it's not about Borough tomorrow. Southampton can still beat Ipswich in the game in hand, and we win all off we were there. Southampton can do what they fucking like. Anyway, Stoke's going to be tricky on a Tuesday night. Thank you, Nick Hart. Achtung Millwall, Bobby signing off at midnight or early outside. I'm sorry. Love you all. Bobby T signing off. Millwall, ready for the Premiership. Bye for now.
Morning, Nick. Just Adam Wicks here, just leaving my thoughts after yesterday's excellent 2-0 home win against Queen's Park Rangers. Yeah, that's much more like it, isn't it, from us? We were into them and on it from the offset. We didn't let them settle. We worked the ball around well. We just did. We did all the things that we're good at, and it was really good to see. It was good. It was really good. Just the crowd involvement as well was decent. Just a really decent day, and it keeps us in with a sniff, doesn't it? And we're keeping all the the Ipswiches and the Middlesbroughs and the Southamptons of the world honest, which is an admirable thing, isn't it? I think it'd be very interesting to see how we go on Tuesday at Stoke, and then we'll just take it one game at a time. I think is key, isn't it? I was saying on the way up, as I think has been touched on the last couple of shows. This is an amazing season for us. Going into it, I think if you'd offered, any Millwall fan would have been looking at who was in the league, and we would have been thinking, if we can make it to that 5th or 6th spot, that's a hell of an achievement when you look at some of the sides and some of the money that's knocking about and some of the players, and I just think we've just seriously overperformed, and we've
unearthed, there's another group of potential gems there, isn't there, as well? We've seen the emergence of, Taylor's been a revelation. Negley's really come into his own this season. I think, again, it's the sign of a really good season, isn't it? That, there's several players in this team that I think probably, 9 out of 10 seasons, or probably more than that, they would be well in with a shout of player of the season, and deservedly so. I think Negley falls into that category for me. He's just technically a superb footballer, but not only that, he works his nuts off for the team, doesn't he? He's happy to drop into, he's played left back, left wing, right wing, central midfield. He's played in the 10. I mean, ridiculous level of versatility and commitment. It's exactly what we like to see, but married with a fantastic left foot and just some unbelievable technical skill. I think he's probably our best player, I think. And I just think, it was lovely to see Kramer came back into a little bit of more like himself yesterday. Aziz was good, some decent deliveries into the box. But, obviously Derek's been highlighted, but it's a great story, isn't it? A young kid coming out of the French second division, can hardly speak English, but whenever he plays for us, he plays with a level of maturity that is way beyond his years, and combined with his physical stature and his natural enthusiasm, that is what we love to see, isn't it? As fans, we really, really love to see that and see players like that doing well. And I just think he, with Billy not being there, he just brings that bit of physical presence and energy, and just ground coverage that we were lacking against West Brom and Norwich, to be fair, I think. And I think, it was a brave move of Alex Neil to put him in. When it's, again, another one of his decisions that's paid off handsomely. So I hope he retains his place in the team. And let's just see how we get on Tuesday. Take it one game at a time. Can obviously enjoy watching the Ipswich Middlesbrough game today and see what happens. Hopefully Middlesbrough can turn them over, and then it just keeps it ridiculously tight. And I think Ipswich potentially are going to struggle then, looking at the fixtures they've got left, and it's going to be very interesting, isn't it? But I think, regardless of where we finish up, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever it is, I think, it's been a sensational season, and I am very, very, very proud of how far we've come and what we've achieved. Come on, you Lions.
Nick, Matt Richards, it's a day after yesterday's win. Today, what a really, really good day. I mean, such a in the end, I think it's probably the most comfortable win we've had all season. I can't think of many, actually, to be fair. That's the Millwall way, isn't it? But there's a bit of trepidation before the game. I think, like anybody, it's after the 2 losses against Blackburn and Norwich. It's getting to that. This is a crunch time of the season. We're getting nervous. We're the players getting nervous. Alex Neil doesn't sound nervous when you hear him interviewed. But in the sunshine, what a brilliant start to the match, really. We say it all the time. I think it's easier said than done, but we have to start with energy, positivity. Straight away, Femi was on the ball, getting crosses in. And eventually that leads to the first goal. And what a strike! I mean, it just. I think what I like about, obviously everyone's going to be talking and raving rightly about Mazisako, that Del Boy, is his energy, and he ran onto that ball. We saw it before their covering midfielder, and he was there like a flash. And what a finish with his left foot. Fantastic start to the game. It's funny when he went to give Alex Neil a high five. I don't think Alex Neil was really a high five type of person. Something tells me that. But brilliant, superb. And then we just carried on, didn't we? I mean, there's a few other chances. Coburn header. Then then Negley with a brilliant finish. He just turns that defender inside out, chops onto his left, and another curler into the bottom corner. And we're in dreamland. Was it 2-0 up after, I don't know, inside the first 20 minutes? When does that ever happen? And brilliant. And then he could have scored another one afterwards. I thought he was unlucky. I think he tried the right thing. He's full of confidence, just overhit it, that's all. But a brilliant half. And yes, second half, I mean, you still got you want to get that goal to kill it off, don't you? That didn't come, but we didn't look uncomfortable at any time, and obviously Patson only had that one shot to save towards the end. So brilliant performance. I'll quickly go through the team. Can't really say much about Patson, but I'm just, the defence is confident with him now, so you can tell he's a level above Crocombe, much as I like Max. But Zach Sturge was brilliant, up and down the wing, crunching into tackles, getting forward. Really good performance from Zach. He's been a bit up and down this year as he's still kind of developing. But Crammer on the right, back to his best, back to his marauding best down the wing, getting a few dangerous crosses over. Superb. You just love the guy, don't you? Just love him. His enthusiasm is superb. And his interview after the game was brilliant with Derek Mazzucato, the two French guys doing a post-match in English. Taylor and Cooper were just majestic, imperious, weren't they? I mean, Caleb Taylor, he kind of goes slightly under the radar with the other players that have come in this year, but brilliant performance, superb. He just stretches out that leg just when you think he's lost the ball, and he gets it. So he's brilliant. So Del Boy, he was the man of the match. I know people criticising man of the match in the stadium for Crammer. It is a weird one, the whole sponsors stuff, but never mind. It doesn't really matter really, because at the end of the day, we know who the man of the match was, and that was Del Boy. Just great, when he was named in the team, I was a bit worried because I was thinking, he's a bit raw, been experienced. Sometimes he's been caught out of position, when he's come on before. But he hasn't had many chances, to be fair to him. He's had that big injury. And the way he's come back, and Alex backed him, and to play in a big game, it was a big game yesterday. A lot riding on it. And he was up for it. He sat in front of the back four, picking up the ball, blocking, tackling. But he was really good on the ball as well. And what a finish and assist. I mean, brilliant. So pleased for the boy. And hopefully there's much more to come. Casper, I thought, did brilliantly. He's still coming back from injury, but I thought he's back to his best. Breaking up play again, really physical. Casper's a lot more, it gets more and more physical the more he goes on. Josh Coburn up front, again, brilliant centre forward play. Really, really kind of put their defenders, gave them a lot of trouble all match, really. Had a couple of half chances, really unlucky with that one off the line in the second half. I thought Ballo did well. He is lightweight, I know people say it, but you know what? He's a fighter and he's tenacious and he gets back and he's up and down. Whether he'll stay or not, I don't know, but he played really well. And I thought Femi was back a bit more to the Femi we know, really. Especially in the first half. He just creates fear in opposition defences. Usually he's got 2 or 3 players on him. He's never just one-on-one now. But he always manages to just kind of just move it out of his feet and get it over. Brilliant play, great crosses by Femi. What a performance. We'll take it forward. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Again, it's still a bit of a surreal moment seeing Millwall second in the table, 3 games to go. We can only dream, but we're virtually there in the playoffs now. It'd be a miracle if we don't, which is just incredible achievement by everybody at the club. So hats off to all of them. Just enjoying it, mate. Okay, well, let's look forward to the next coming games. Cheers, mate. Take care. Come on, you Lions.
Hello, Nick. It's Barnsley here. Just thought I'd call in after that fantastic performance against Queen's Park Rangers. Obviously a derby, a lot, riding on this. Slightly nervous, shall we say, but I shouldn't have been really, because we absolutely dominated, didn't we? We were fantastic. I said before, the Norwich game, we didn't really create anything in the first half because, didn't get anything for the crowd to get going. But today was a complete opposite. And, that first 20 minutes was, best we've played for a long, long time. And I think you can tell the players having a week, digesting what they're doing. And, they just looked at it, didn't they? They didn't look tired. Ballo come back in, stayed in his position, kept his place, should we say. And I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was excellent, and defensively as well. And I thought he was very, very good. Gives us that natural width on the left, doesn't it? So we're not always bombing down the right. I think it's been a masterstroke, but maybe there is a future for that young man. We'll see. Going on to the right, Crammer looked back to his best, I thought, today. I thought Cooper, Taylor were fantastic. Patterson could have put a deck chair up, really, couldn't he, and sit in the sun, because he didn't really have a lot to do. But that was all down to, the defending from the front with Coburn, obviously putting himself about a lot, being a handful as normal. And, all the players around him, the player that I really like, and, hopefully we can sort out his contract, is Billy Mitchell. But today we didn't have him, and we've not had him for a few weeks, and we've missed him. But today we didn't, because someone stood up and took his place. And Sacco was absolutely fantastic today. We see glimpses of that before he got his injury, didn't he? But he was phenomenal today, and I was so pleased for him to score that goal. It was just brilliant. And, I think the reason why Alex Neil won't bring Bannon in, because he needs legs around him. And boy, that guy's got legs, hasn't he? He was up and down, breaking play up, and to score that goal and what a finish as well. Not sure about the defending, but who gives the monkeys? And then obviously the other player that I think's massive to us, and it's Negley. I thought he was, as I say, I keep mentioning about defensive display, but he covers the ground everywhere, up and down, and his goal was brilliant. Great feint, got onto his favoured left foot and curled it in, and we were flying, and we could have had a lot more, couldn't we, if we had a bit more luck in front of goal and making force. Then the second half starts, they bring on 4 subs. You could tell the way they were thinking, this couldn't get any worse. But all credit to them. I couldn't see him scoring, to be honest. I was so relaxed, and the only time they could have scored, it took a deflection or a long range shot or something to beat Patterson. But I thought we were very, very comfortable, and it bodes well for the the games coming up. But another, I'm so pleased the players come in and sort of, come in and, a case of, you can't drop me now because I've come in, took the opportunity that you've given me. And I think that's what Sacco did today, and Ballo's doing as well, which is good to see. Then, you're 2-0 up, you're cruising, you can make the substitutions, which, Mr. Neil did. So, but yeah, I thought they were brilliant today. I thought, Coburn was excellent up top on his own. Just a handful, wasn't he? Absolute handful. And keep him fit, please. Banovic come on. Langstaff run his bits off like he normally does. It was a very, very good professional performance, shall we say. And we just sit back now. This is the opposite side of what Alex Neil was saying about playing. Now we sit back, and the pressure's on the other team's trying to, climb that and get in that position that we're currently holding. So, God, this is good. 3 games, 3 squeaky bum time at the end of the season. But what a feeling to be in this position, because we have not been in it for a long, long time. So I'm buzzing. Good turnout today. Looked fantastic. I couldn't go today, so I was gutted, but probably a good thing because my record. But there you go. I was just chilled about it. It was so nice. And if we can continue this run, whatever happens now, we're proud of the boys, but it's 3 games to go, and we could actually send maybe Gary Rowett down, which would be, not a nice scene for. He had Birmingham, didn't he? Took them down as well, so not a nice record for him. But yeah, I'm just hearing that Swansea are beating Southampton as well, so that continues. It'll be a cracking weekend. But mate, look forward to the podcast. Keep up the great work and all the other callers in, and let's just hope we can continue this for a few more games, eh? All right, mate. Take care.
Nick, a great performance and a great result from the Lions, just when many fans were kind of expecting a hard-fought tussle against one of the Championship's form teams. But that early goal settled the nerves. And all the pessimists, wobblers and quakers around where I sit, and then when that second goal went in, I thought it was a really dominant first half from Millwall, which must have pissed off their manager enough to make 4 changes at half time. And, even though QPR upped their game after the break, we really managed the game well to see it out, I thought. Rangers, I think, only had 1 shot on target, didn't they? So no squeaky bum time. A great performance from all. Well, maybe not Watson, but Tristan Kramer will be embarrassed again by getting man of the match. There must be a lot of booze flowing around up in that sponsors lounge. And on the drive home, I mentioned that maybe when he got back to the changing room, he would give his award to Cooper or Sturge or Ballow or Coburn or Negley. You get my drift? Yeah. But of course, he gave it to Del Boy, who was the man of the match. Well, now we've got a quick turnaround for the Stoke game, but with our impressive away form, we should be up there without any fear. We fear no foe. Come on, you Wall.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Achtung Millwall. All profits from our show benefit the fabulous Lions Food Hub, helping families in the Essex 16 area. Until the next show then, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Who do you want to watch?